is starting to work. Let me just paste here, check the audio. Audio check. Okay. Awesome, guys. I haven't done a live stream forever, so I'm excited to kind of get this going. So I'm just kind of checking everything really quick, just making sure everything looks good. Let me know if the audio is good. Let me know if everything looks good on the camera. And then we'll jump into some fun stuff. Okay, we'll see. See if it's hit the live yet. Can we have someone post in chat? Is it working? Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Sandy Rose. It's good to see everybody here in the chat. We have PM and Sandy Rose as our moderators for the live stream. So thank you guys so much for your help on this. Basically, if someone gets out of hand, they'll take care of you. I'm just kidding. Usually subscribers don't have any problems with that. But this is a subscriber. At least in the live chat, you'll see if you're a subscriber, your comment will show up. If you aren't a subscriber, then at least you can watch this. But let's just jump through some of the people here. We got Kevin Holland, one of our channel members. Thank you so much, Kevin. Both Mark Flat here, Elizabeth White, good to see you. Looks like Mark Flat already started off with a comment here. The video last year with the voltage converters was very helpful. I bought a 12 to 36 volt converter and pulled 530 watts. Cool, that's awesome. That's hopefully a lot of people are able to boost their 12 volt batteries up to a faster charging. So awesome. Well, I thought it'd be really fun to kind of go through my current setup, my daily setup, what I'm currently doing with my power stations, solar, things like that. So we can go through that really quick, and then we can talk about some other things. Like in the thumbnail of the video, I had the Delta Pro 3, the Ultra, and the Anker. So maybe we can talk about some comparisons there, seeing what you guys want to see there. But yeah, looking to have some fun tonight. So hopefully you guys are, feel free to comment in the video. It's always good to see your guys' comments, and we'll get started. So let me go ahead and swap this over to my screen over here. Okay, so we'll make this big here. So this is exactly what I am running right now. In fact, it's actually running this full setup. I do have my transfer switch enabled. So that is the Delta Pro Ultra, and I have 2 extra batteries, and those are very expensive, guys, but I felt that this unit is high enough quality that I could rely on it. So yes, I have a triple stack of batteries, so that's an 18 kilowatt system. Tons of power there. So I have been using the Delta Pro Ultra for 100 days nonstop, and it has worked extremely well. It's completely silent, up to 7,200 watts, split phase output. The thing is just a beast. So right now, what I'm doing right here is I'm just kind of charging up this is the Pecron E3600. And so basically, I'm kind of just cycling this, seeing how it works, seeing how loud the fans are, seeing how the solar works, and then I'll do some more in-depth testing on that for the actual review. But so far, I've been pretty happy with this E3600. I know a lot of my viewers are really excited about this power station because the price is like 50 cents per watt hour, or even less. It's really, really good, and they have all the features on this thing. So those are the 2 power stations that I'm using daily right now. I kind of just, what happens is when this gets down to like, when the sun goes down, I just basically pull power from this one just for a little bit so I can cycle it and see how it works. I don't have to do that, but I do that just to test it out. And you can see right here, I have my transfer switch plugged in. So this is a 10 circuit transfer switch. I'm having an issue with this one circuit here. You'll see that this one's turned off. But I'll have to troubleshoot that. Basically, when I flip it up to generator power, the power cuts out. So it might be this circuit breaker that's a problem. But I am running this nonstop, 24/7. The weather's been sunny enough. It's just been working really good. So let's see. And this picture was taken a couple hours ago, like around 4 o'clock, and you can see I'm still getting almost 2,000 watts input from solar. And then output, I usually see anywhere from 600 to 1,200 watts consistently, and this has been working really well. This is a closer look up at the E3600. So this power station's got a lot of the really good features, guys. So what I really like about it are these two solar charge controllers. These are 150 volts input, 1,200 watts each. So I have two arrays plugged into this, and I'll show you that here next. But it does have the 120 volt, 30 amp output right here. So this is an RV outlet. And then you have 4 regular 20 amp outlets, and you have a bunch of USB ports, 12 volt socket, 30 amp output. And the screen on this is really, really surprising. It's a really nice touch screen, and it shows you a ton of detail. You have a ton of settings. I'll probably have to break that down in my review video. It's going to take a while to do that, but it is really cool. This is such a step up from previous Pecron products on quality. So this is one of my my main solar arrays. So this is a 1,600 watt array. These 400 watt panels. These are 410 watt panels. They're mounted to my top of my carport, and these work really good. They're a little bit dirty. I cleaned them off like a week ago, and then we had this dirty rain, and so they got all dirty. It's kind of annoying. And they are mounted to the carport using these really cool feet. These are snap and rack feet for corrugated roofing. They work so well. This is my new solar array. This is the one that's on top of my shed. You guys will notice this looks different than my previous solar panels. I upgraded to 3 400 watt panels here. These are 400 Taliesin watt panels. So very good performance out of these as well. And I use the snap and rack. These are called the speed feet, and they worked really well. You can see how clean this install is. I put this up in less than an hour. This whole array. I took down the old one and put this one up in about an hour. It was crazy how fast it goes. I have 4 arrays. This is my third one. This is a portable solar panel array that I built. It's wood frame, and it's got these metal supports. And this worked really well. In fact, I built this like 2 years ago, and it's still like pristine, brand new condition. Works so good. I really like this one. If I would have changed this, I think I would have gone with slightly bigger wheels. That'd probably be the only change that I'd do. Because when the grass is long, it gets really, really hot here. So I like to have kind of longer grass, right? So it doesn't get so dried out. And this is my final array. This is my 1,000 watt portable array. And you can see I moved this. Usually I had this up against the carport here. Usually I had it like right here. But I kept getting shade because the sun is so high right now. This overhang for the carport shades that array that was leaning up against it. So now I just set it over here on along this fence on the north side of my house, and it does really well. So those 2 arrays, this one and this one, are plugged into the Pecron. So pretty decent way to test that out. And we got chicks. So one of my more popular videos is a DIY backyard chicken coop. It's been a really, really fun process having backyard chickens. So one of the updates in the last month is when we got 6 new chicks. So we have these 6 chickens. Pretty exciting. And I built this. This is actually a chicken tractor that I built about a month and a half ago. Just a way to have those chicks separated from our older chickens, because you can't really have them together. Excuse me, until they're a little bit older. So this is a way that we can kind of keep them in our backyard. And I just moved this around, and it works really well. Okay, so let's jump into some of the chat here. Just check in really quick. Okay. Tibor checking in from Czech Republic. Nice. Awesome. Glad you're joining. We got Noel on here. Anthony, Hypolite, Larry Atkins, Thetis B tuning in from Mississippi. Thanks guys so much for joining. Gary G, he says, you're a great resource for everything solar. Thanks for being here. Yeah, that's my whole point of this YouTube channel, is to help you guys kind of with like not really the full-scale grid-type solar, but more of the off-grid or portable solar. That's kind of what I specialize on in my channel. Mark Flat asking if I have any plans to review Epic batteries. Yes, I do have plans to review one. I was actually just contacting Epic on Wednesday. So we'll see if I can get one of their batteries to review. John Tate, I was hoping EcoFlow would have a better promotional price for the Delta Pro 3. They do have a $500 off coupon, so that's pretty decent. They did not provide that discount code for me in my video, but they did give it to themselves. So if you buy it through their website, through their discount code, you can get the $500 off. So maybe they just didn't want to pay out affiliate sales or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. They didn't give that code out to anybody. PM's asking, how much power do you see from clean and dirty? Jumping back to that picture here, let's go back to the solar panels that were dirty. So this right here, I was getting 2,300 watts today during peak with both these arrays, which was pretty decent, right? 2,300 watts, and I'll see around 2,300 watts during a normal day. So when the solar panels are perfectly clean. Now, it was 100 degrees today, so panels were a little bit warmer probably, so that's why I probably wasn't getting more power from them. But you don't notice that much difference from this dusting that's on top of the panels. You still get pretty decent power. Okay, Giddy Up Cowboy, can't wait to see your test results since I pre-ordered the Pecron. Yep, that's I think you're gonna really like it. So far, the fans aren't very loud. The power seems really stable. Really decent amount of solar. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I haven't done any deep testing on it. I'm working on this video back here. I am going to do a full comparison of the Bluetti AC180, the Anker C1000, and the Delta 2, because these are all very similar, and I'm excited to see which one comes out on top. So we're going to do a head-to-head comparison. That should be out next Friday. That'll be fun to see which one. I'm going to do like a point-based system just to see which one kind of has the most features, comes in the best price, that type of thing. Jumping back to the comments really quick, we have Rocks 600-601 from Illinois. Hi from Illinois. Good to see another video. Yeah, thanks for joining the live stream. Following up on some of these. Mark Flat, are the solar arrays set up for southern exposure? Yes, all these are facing directly south. Chrome Dome Omega. Hey, do you ever power efficiency test by cooling your solar panels? I did a video. My Anker I had a 400 watt comparison video, solar panel comparison video, where I tested the difference between cold and hot panels. There's no really efficient or practical way to keep your solar panels clean. Like pouring water on them. It's 100 degrees outside. I'd go through so much water. There's just nothing out there right now. I don't lose that much power because the solar panels are warm. So yeah, it's fine. You just have to plan ahead and know that you're going to get like 80% out of your panels. Gregory Washburn, good to see you. Hello. Elizabeth White, thanks for the reminder to hit the like button. Yep, Sandy Rose is great about telling everybody to hit the like button. So thank you so much for joining. Neil Cohen, thank you for hosting. Enjoy the vids in the past. And John Anderson, very cool setup. Thanks for sharing. Theodis B, hey, are you still using the Anker Solix F3800? No, one of my good friends really wanted the F3800, so I sold it to him. So he's actually using it in his RV. So I do not have the F3800, but I have a lot of knowledge about it because I did multiple videos on it, so I know exactly how it works. And John Tate says, the price of the F3800's intro was $22.99. Yeah, on Kickstarter, I believe it was extremely affordable, the F3800. And that's probably the biggest comparison between the Delta Pro 3 and the F3800 is the price. But we'll talk about some of the cons and some of the pros of each of those coming up. Awesome. Cool. So let's see. I guess what we can do is jump into let's jump into some of those power stations that I wanted to talk about. So we're going to first talk about the Delta Pro 3, since I just barely put a video out on this. And moreover, I'd like to kind of like get your guys' questions about it. Because, I mean, my video was pretty in-depth. If you guys have any questions about it, let me know. But I'll just kind of do a brief overview of it. But the thing that I thought was really cool about this is that you can choose between the 240 or the 120. They both put out 4,000 watts, but if you want to connect up to a 240 volt transfer switch, you get the 240 volt output. Or if you want to power just a ton of 120 volt stuff, you can connect up to the 120 volt output. And there's also a 30 amp RV port behind this little door right here, so you can power it through that. The thing that I noticed, I really like the fans on this one. This is way more quiet than the Delta Pro original, the OG. The fans are actually silent under 2,000 watts. Now, when you kick up a bigger load than that, yes, the fans get a little bit louder. And you guys saw in the video, it was like 53 decibels, so pretty decent compared to some other power stations. Definitely reasonable. Now, the thing that I thought was interesting is they were talking about this triple stack, right? Like, look at this picture right here. They're like, buy 3 of these and 2 expansion batteries each and hook it up to the smart home panel too. I was like, why spend all that money when you should just buy a Delta Pro Ultra? So that's kind of what I wanted to see. You know, what were your guys' thoughts? Like, if you were looking for a full-size home backup, would you rather just go with the Delta Pro Ultra, or would you go with like the Delta Pro 3, and then when you wanted to expand, purchase another one, and then you have 2 of them? What are your guys' thoughts on the Delta Pro Ultra versus the Delta Pro 3? Just throw some comments in there. I want to get your thoughts about which one would you guys go with. I'm going to jump into some of the comments here. Let's see. Elizabeth White. Thanks, Jason. Hearing the pros and cons helps with the purchase decisions for sure. And that would mostly be kind of what I want to talk about with the... Let me put my face down here. I'll probably talk about that mostly between the Anker F3800 and the Delta Pro 3. Because the Delta Pro 3 and the Ultra are so similar. It's just a size difference, basically. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Robert Lee says he would go with the Ultra. PM says if wanting a stationary storage solution, I would not choose that setup. Okay. John Tate says the Ultra, 17 amps at 240 volt output, not really enough to power anything. It kind of depends what you're looking for. I mean, a small transfer switch is totally fine. Katie's Camp Kitchen, Ultra, I need enough power to run a well pump reliably with other loads to kick in. That's true. David Payne says the Ultra all the way. So the thing that I would say about the Ultra is that it's just so heavy. You know, with the, let me just bring this up really quick. With this battery setup here, each one of these batteries is like 110 pounds. So this is like a 400-pound setup. Now with these nice dollies, it does move around pretty easy. It has a really nice dolly system, and that's what's nice about this is on this ground here in my basement, it does roll around without any problems. But you will have to plan for how big it is. And the one thing that's really cool about it is that it does stack vertically. And the only person that I've seen max one of these out is, I think, Silver Symbol. So Chris from Silver Symbol, he has 6 of these batteries for his setup. So I have 3, been extremely happy with the 3, but I don't know if I imagine going too much higher. Like, you can see, it's like I only have this much space before it gets in the way of my transfer switch and my power panel. So I can't really, I could maybe add one more here, but I don't know. Probably wouldn't need that. Let's bring up this here. Okay. So let's jump into some of the comments here. So Kevin Holland's asking if I've ever looked into V2Man products. Yes, I tested one of their products way back when, and they were early to creating power stations that had a lot of problems. They've really updated their products since then, so they could be decent, but they're pictured as an affordable budget product. I'd compare them probably to Pecron. So that's probably what I would compare them to, quality-wise. DP Ultra, tons of power outage where I live in Texas. Interesting. You know, the problem with living in my area is our power grid is super stable. We never have power outages. It's like super rare. I don't even think we had a power outage in the last year. So the last time I had a power issue was last winter when one of my main power lines coming in from the grid in the neighborhood actually grounded out with a fence post. So I lost one of my 120 volt lines in. So instead of getting 240 volt in my house, I only had 120. So I lost a complete leg of power. It was super weird. I'm guessing it took years and years and years for this to happen. But the previous homeowner put a fence post in next to the main power line. So over time, that rubbed against the concrete as it contracted, and basically it rubbed through the insulation and then grounded out. And so one night my power just went out on half my house, and it was doing crazy things. So basically what happened is I had the power company had to come out, and they had to find the issue. So they found it next to the fence, and for 3 days, it took them a while to fix this. It was in the middle of winter, so the ground was kind of hard for them to get into it. But for 3 days, they just tied my house into 120, so I could only run 120 volt stuff. So couldn't run I couldn't run my stoves, and I couldn't run my clothes dryer. Those are pretty much all I have for 240 volt things, and the AC I didn't need because that was in the winter. But it was really interesting losing 240 volt stuff. But that was the last power outage that I had, and that was like a year ago. So it just tells you, like, my area is pretty reliable with the grid. Sandy Rose, if finances are a factor, building up all you can afford is what I do. If I could afford it, I'd go with the easiest setup, the Ultra. Yeah. So now I've been debating about jumping into doing more of a DIY setup. I've done a bunch of DIY small things in the past, like some batteries, 12 volt battery builds, even portable carts. I built a 24 volt system and a 12 volt system for home backup. I've really wanted to kind of mess around with a 48 volt all-in-one inverter charger box thing. So I'll have to see. You guys will have to let me know if you're interested in like a DIY setup using 48 volt batteries and an all-in-one setup. They are more affordable, but they do kind of take more expertise. So if you want a plug and play setup, power station's the way to go. So like the Delta Pro Ultra, the F3800, or like DP3. Those are kind of like the really good options for plug and play home backup. Let's see. Elizabeth White and hurricanes live on the tip of Texas. Where at? Because I spent some time down in McAllen area. I'm familiar with that bottom area of Texas. I have family that lives in Houston as well. Kevin Holland, oh, sort of a Pecron product. Yep, you know how much I like Pecron. Yeah, they didn't like how you, basically what was that issue? They wanted you to submit the video proof that the Pecron system went bad. Yeah, and I remember that you didn't have a way to do that. Okay, Noel's asking, can you connect the Ultra 240 volt to your transfer switch? Yes, that's what I have. I have a 240 volt Reliance Controls ProTran 2 transfer switch, and it just takes 240 volt right in. Now, I have a video on using transfer switches. You'll have to check out my previous videos. But basically, all transfer switches are the same. they can be wired 120 or 240 right out of the box. And it's just the inlet port that determines if it's a 240 or a 120 transfer switch. What it does is every other switch in the transfer switch, let me go ahead and bring this up really quick. Let me just, I'll bring it up so I can show you guys. I don't know if I have a super close picture. Do I? Probably not. But looking right here, each one of these switches, so it alternates. This is on one leg, this is on the other. This is on one leg, this is on the other. So each one of these switches is a 120 volt circuit. Now, if you want to run 240, they combine these together so you have one leg and one leg. So you can do a 30 amp or a 20 amp or even a 15 amp 240 volt output. But what I've decided to do is I just have a bunch of 120 volt circuit breakers, and they just share, you know, these. So I have two hot legs coming in, and that powers each one of these sets of circuit breakers and circuits. So this is 240 volt in. The only difference between a 240 volt and a 120 volt transfer switch is that the 120 lines are bridged right here. And so it only accepts 120 in, and it just shares that load throughout the entire thing. So if you have a 120, you should be able to upgrade it to a 240 just by swapping out some of these switches and the circuit breakers. So flexibility with these Reliance Controls transfer switches are pretty awesome. It's really, really flexible. All right, let's jump into this here. Chip, ready to buy 2 DPUs and a 50 amp hub to connect to my RV. Has anyone else done this? That's quite a bit of power. As long as you got room for it, the DPUs, I mean, I just wonder where you'd put them in your RV, but that's a ton of power, and the 50 amp hub would work really well. Sandy Rose, the reason I'm subbed to you is because you make videos for everything involving solar, not just the latest power station. Yeah, I try to branch out just so I enjoy doing the DIY stuff and kind of other weird things. You know, you guys have seen my videos. DIY power box, especially when we make, okay, so I resemble the Gonk droid from Star Wars. Nice. Let's see. Looking, Larry Atkins, I have the Ultra and 1 extra battery. Awesome. It's a great, how have you liked it? I have not had issues with mine, and I love how silent it is. You just don't even hear it. Miss Catnipper, yes, there was an ad inserted, but I think it resumes back where I was. So I don't know if you lost anything because of the ad. So that's just kind of how YouTube does it now. They're going to throw ads in. So hopefully you guys didn't, hopefully you're just, you know, a little bit behind where it was beforehand. A DIY system is, this is JW. A DIY system is always nice to see. Always like to learn something when watching videos on solar. If I had the money, I would go with the Ultra for a whole house backup. Yeah, the only downside to these plug-and-play systems are that they're very, very expensive. And I understand that. I understand that a $3,000 system or a $5,000 or even $6,000 system is just unattainable for a lot of people. So what I've been recommending lately, and you guys have seen this, I put this video out just recently. Let me jump over to that. This one here, jump into my videos. Okay, this one here, this solar versus gas generator video. Now, this video here, I recommended that you go with the option that you could afford. So if you can only afford a $400 or $300 gasoline, backup generator, I recommend you start with that because it's really important that you have just a backup at all, right? So I would recommend going with a dual fuel inverter model. And if you check out the one in this video, I was super impressed by this. This Pulsar generator, it's a brand new one. It's a 4,000 watt dual fuel generator, and it was like around $400 with the discount code, which is really, really good. So the reason you want dual fuel is so that you can use either propane or gasoline. And if you know anything about propane storage, is it's a lot safer to store propane and it never goes bad. So other than the actual tank and its certification, you can have propane stored around indefinitely. So you get a ginormous propane tank and run, your gas generator forever. So that's what I recommend if your budget is limited, because you can keep your refrigerators running. You can run some other essential loads. You can even plug those into a transfer switch, just like I do for using my power stations. Now, if you have a gas generator, or if you have more money and you want to get something that's maybe doesn't make a ton of noise and that you can store in your house safely so that no one else is going to steal it, walk away. The problem with the gas generator is that someone's going to hear it. So if you live in an area where you don't want people to hear you have a generator or you have power, then gas generator is kind of a downside. So that's where the power stations really come in, is you can charge these silently. You can have them in your house. You can set up solar panels in your backyard. They don't make any noise. You can use glass rigid panels up mounted on a carport or shed like I do, or you can use deployable solar panels that fold up in a closet, and then you can bring them out and put them out in your yard or lean them up against your fence or whatever. So basically my recommendation is that you have both, because if the sun's not around, you're going to need a backup charging solution. So that's going to be like, gas or diesel or propane, or even natural gas. If you're cool enough to have a natural gas plumb line straight out of your house into a generator, that is really cool, because then it's like unlimited runtime. You don't have to have tanks around. But basically, I would recommend having both, so that you can have the power station whenever you have sun around and you have enough battery power. But if it's cloudy or stormy, you have a way to charge that up. Thank you, Chip. I got that. Super thanks for $1.99. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so let me jump back into the comments here. Okay, so let's see if I asked, what was it, Elizabeth White, a while ago about a question. So I'm seeing, she said she lived in the tip of Texas. So I was just curious if she said where she lived. So let's jump into the questions here at the bottom. Okay. Miss Catnipper. Oh, good. That's never happened on YouTube live stream before. Yeah, I agree. The interrupted ads for sure. Elizabeth, you guys have a hurricane coming your direction already this year. Good luck. Yep. I don't know last year was very quiet for hurricanes, so we'll see what this year is. I don't know. It just depends on what the currents are and things. I feel like the last 2 years have been pretty quiet for hurricane season. Chrome Dome Omega. Hope I'm saying that right. Yep. It's been going for a few months at least. Captain Number, if you're lucky, you haven't been barraged by them yet. Okay, yeah, the inline or the mid insert ads. Dimebag Coins is saying big battery ethos. Yeah, that's I like big battery. I have thought about purchasing one of their batteries before. I actually looked into their batteries. They were well around. They had products around for a long time before the server rack batteries got super popular. So big battery's been making stuff for a long time. Okay, so let's see. Elizabeth White, we are watching hurricanes closely. February, no power for 10 days. Wow. February 2021. Yeah, was that freeze, the deep freeze? I bet it was. Grateful for, okay. So, Carrie's Big Speak, let me get this name first. Carrie Big Speak Soft. F3800 EcoFlow Delta Pro. Short answer. Okay, so let's talk about that really quick. So, I have, might as well bring up this. Okay. So if you guys check out my videos, and I'll just show you guys, I have two really, really in-depth videos about the F3800. So this one right here, and then I made a full follow-up video that basically talks about all the quirks of the F3800 and how to get past them. And so it's not ideal, but with the quirks you can get through it. So let's talk about the F3800 really quick. So let's bring up the F3800. And let's get some decent pictures here. Okay, maybe this will be good. And let's bring up my pretty face. Okay, so let's compare it to the Delta Pro 3. Okay, I just had a warning on the. Hopefully the stream's okay. You guys want to let me know if you guys are seeing issues with the stream. I just had a pop up with about the bitrate. So, okay, so talking about the F3800, it does have a larger inverter than the Delta Pro 3. So 6,000 watts. Remember, the Delta Pro 3 is 4,000. So the inverter on the Anker F3800 is more capable. The thing that you do need to understand about the F3800 is that, let's just see if I can get a picture of the inverter up close. If so many, let's see if we can get to like the product itself. Can I get to the actual screen without this? Okay, here we go. Show a picture of the inverter. Why wouldn't they do that? Bummer. Okay, the best thing we got here is this one here. Okay, so in order to get the full 6,000 watts output, you have to use the 240 volts. If you're going to get 120 output, you are limited to 20 amps on this set of outlets and on this set of outlets. So it's kind of limited to 4,800 watts, 120 volt output, or 6,000 watts, 240. Now, some of the quirks of the F3800. When you charge it from the wall, it disables the 240 volt output. So it completely kind of handicaps the power station. You can't power anything big when you are charging from the wall. The only way that you can have the 240 volt output enabled is if you're charging from a battery or charging from solar. So that is probably the biggest quirk about the F3800. So that is a big thing that you're going to want to think about, because if you ever needed to charge it up and use it at the same time, you're only limited to 1,440 watts of 120 volt output. So 1,400 watts AC output through the UPS mode. So that is the biggest quirk of the F3800. If that's not a problem with you, if you're always going to be charging with solar, then the F3800 is probably going to be fine. So just remember, when you're charging from AC input, the 240 volts is shut off. Now, what about solar? The solar charging input on the F3800 uses 60 volt cutoffs. So if you're going to be charging with solar, you have to use some very unique solar panels, and that's where this video comes in. So this video right here, I go through a super in-depth process of choosing the right solar panels, wiring them together, and talking about how that power works. So if you have any questions about the F3800 solar panels or ways to get around the 240 volt shutoff, check out this video. In fact, I'll just put it in the chat really quick. So we'll just paste that here. So check out that link if you are interested in the F3800. So solar capable wise, the Delta Pro 3 can get more solar. It also has the 150 volt solar input and then 160 volts. So it's just a little bit more capable on solar, the DP3. So we talked about the inverter of both of them. We talked about the solar charging. The fans are both very similar on both models. The DP3 has more quiet fans at a lower power level, and then they both have similar loud fans around 53, 52 decibels or so when they are putting out full power. So still very, very good. Okay, let's see what else we can talk about with that, comparing them. Form factor, I would say the F3800 has a nicer form factor. I do like that it's just this vertical tower and then the battery stack on top of it. I love how it just doesn't take up much floor space. So I do like the form factor of the Anker F3800. The DP3 is like this long, tall power station that sits on the ground. So the form factor is, I'd probably say, just a little bit less than ideal. And it just depends on where you're going to be using it, right? So either form factor could work great for a specific use case. AC charging, for AC charging input, the F3800 is limited to 1400 watts input, 1440 watts, or right around 15 amps. The Delta Pro 3 will charge it to full 1800 watts. Also, if you want the inverter to shut off, the DP3 will charge at 240 volts input at 4000 watts. You can charge at 240 volts a lot faster on the DP3, but it does shut off the inverters. Talking about dual charging, both power stations now support dual charging, so AC input, DC input at the same time, so solar and wall charging, so that's not a difference on each of them. Both inverters are super nice, like very good sine waves, very clean output, a ton of power available. So yeah, I would just say that's probably a good rundown of both of them. Let me know what you guys think about the comparison there. What else would you want to know? Like, I'm happy to talk about either of those power stations. If you guys have any questions about the DP3 or the F3800 compared, let me know about that. Let's see right here. They both have smart app connectivity. They both can connect quite a few batteries to them. The F3800 does allow for more battery connections. They both have smart home panels that tie into your house if you wanted to do that. So they're both very capable devices. The F3800 does come at a much affordable price, and I'm wondering what it's going to be for Prime Day. I'm guessing the price is going to drop pretty low. Okay. Let's jump into the comments here. 50 likes. Yep, guys, if you guys are watching, you like the content, please smash the thumbs up button. Sandy Rose is putting that out in the chat section, so please, if you like it, don't forget to like the video. Okay. Mario, do you feel that in order to get the rated input power from solar, you need to have at least 50% more solar panels to get, since sun output is not stable? If you have a cloudy area, like it's kind of partly cloudy or you get a lot of shading, I would definitely recommend over paneling your system. So if you're looking for 400 watts, you're going to want 800 watts. If you want, 2 kilowatts, you're going to want a 4,000 kilowatt 4,000 watt hour setup. 4 kilowatts, 4,000 watt hours. If you live in a area where you have a lot of shading and a lot of clouds, you're going to want much more solar than you can think of. You always want to max out your solar to what your budget will allow. If you thinking about my area, in the summer I get a lot of sun. I live in a high desert climate, so we don't get much rain at all, storms at all in the summer at all. So like for the last 3 weeks, it's been, other than like 1 or 2 days, it's been purely just sunny weather. So I get pretty decent output. I get around 80 to 85% of the wattage from my panels. And so I see that all the time. If you're going to live in somewhere like the Northwest or the Northeast, where you're going to get a lot more clouds, you're going to want to plan for a lot of solar. So maybe even going with a DIY setup so you can get much more solar on these systems. The problem with doing these plug and play systems is the solar is kind of limited versus what you can get with a DIY setup. Okay. Let's see. Josh's Gadgets and More. Thanks for joining. Listening as I take my daily walk, or my nightly walk. Well, hopefully it's good weather for it out there. In the summer, it's hot around here. Luckily, the temperatures usually do drop at night, so going out on a nightly walk once the sun's gone down, it's beautiful to do that. Okay. Let's see. So I think I saw, was there another question here? I wanted to see. Okay, so Carrie Biggs Speaks Off says, I plan to charge my car for a week while sitting at work using the Anker. Okay. I mean, that's definitely capable, especially because it has the grounded 240 volt output. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. You have to explain what type of solar panels setup do you have with that, or expansion batteries, that type of thing. Cool. Let's see if I have anything else that I wanted to cover before we jump into some of the questions. Let's see. Could jump over the camera. Okay. One thing that I will say, and this has been, I've gotten really, really good feedback about this. So this is called Ask Me. And this is what it looks like if you want to submit a question to me. It's called like a basic consulting service. And so what it is if you go to askme.com/Jasonoid. Let me put this in the chat. So this is a setup that I just signed up for a couple months ago, and it's been really, really cool. So what it does is you can put in your question here. You can attach photos, or at least a photo, I believe. You put your name and email, and then you are charged a $15 flat fee. Now what this does is it allows me to answer your question and go back and forth about 3 times and kind of just helping you work out whatever you need. So I've had a lot of people ask me about what solar panels do I need for the F3800. That's probably my most common question that I get. And I usually walk them through a very detailed process of what solar panels to buy. This is going to work. This is what you can currently purchase. This is how you wire them together. This is what the components you need. So I feel that for $15, it's a steal of a deal, because some of the more in-depth questions take me around 45 minutes to an hour, but I only get paid $15. So, excuse me. It just depends on the question, right? But I've had people kind of really try to exploit this, and they ask me like 10 questions for the $15. So like that's like, come on guys, you know what you're doing here. You paid $15. You don't get 5 hours of my time. But for the most part, people are really respectful when using this service, and this is a really easy way to get in direct contact with me with a little bit more in depth. I try to do a good job answering YouTube comments, but YouTube comments are really restrictive in that if once I reply once, I don't get notified anymore. So I have to like go back and look for replies, and it's just a nightmare. So it's pretty hard to get reply chains going back and forth. So if you want an in-depth response, check out Ask Me. It's super awesome. Katie's Camp Kitchen. Jason, congrats on almost 70K. Yeah, we are so close. I wonder what we're at right now. Let me, what does this say? I think today I was at 69,980. Let me take a look. Let me see what we're at right now. I can pull it up on my phone just to see. I wonder if I did hit the 70,000 mark. Refreshing. 69,989. 11 subs away from 70,000, guys. Maybe I'll hit that on the stream. Probably not, but it's a dream. Okay, let's see. Just 1 second here. Excuse me, guys. I tried to mute myself. Can I mute myself on this thing? Okay, cool. Now I know how to mute myself. I apologize for that. Okay. So, looks like Chrome Dome Omega has a question. If you get back into DIY systems, can cover the application of a ram pump for use with perpetual water flow powering a motor to charge power systems or power such systems. I don't really have water on my property like that. I don't have like a lake to test a ram pump. I've seen some really cool videos with them. I love hydropower. If I had some sort of off-grid property with a stream, I'd totally have a hydro water power plant using that. It'd be so cool. But I don't really have a way to test like a ram pump. But there's some really good options on YouTube, other channels that have covered that. PM says, I would suggest that if someone asks 10 questions, you pick the most relevant and answer that, and then tell them if you want to ask more, submit an additional question. Yep, they can. The problem is, with Ask Me, it has to be, the question and answer have to be approved by both parties in order to get paid. So if I didn't answer enough questions, I could perhaps make someone not happy, and then they would basically say, I'm not paying then. So it kind of just depends. So Nitsai Karinje, apologize for the name pronunciation on that. What do you think of the DIY EG4 Power Pro Battery Plus and the 6000 XP combo? Those are awesome systems. If I was going to buy one, I'd probably get the EG4, the 6000 XP. Wow, can't type. Yeah, so this is what he's asking about right here. Okay. So this right here for the same price as the Delta Pro Ultra, so very similar spec inverter, right? 240 volt output, 8,000 watts. It's like, sorry, 6,000 watt output, 8,000 watts of solar input. That's correct right there. So this comes with a giant 16 kilowatt hour battery, I believe. So never mind, it's 14.3. So this is a really cool setup. Will Prowse has done some videos on this. Many other channels have done setups on this. These large lithium iron phosphate batteries, they're UL listed. They have fire protection systems in them. They're awesome. Like some of them even have heaters in them, and they're fully sealed so that you can use them outdoors. So if I was going to go DIY, it'd be something very similar to this. So basically, yeah, very good setup. And what's nice about these is they're more plug and play than they have been in the past. So before you had to have like all the breakers, you had to purchase all the breakers, bus bars, and all that stuff. Now it's getting to the point where you just connect wires together, and it's very, very easy. So I think they're trying to bridge the gap of DIY and plug and play. So if they ever come out with a fully plug and play setup for one of these, man, they're going to be kicking power stations' butt, especially on pricing. Okay. Jumping into this. KJ, I have the Delta Pro. I want to place a filter over the inlet fence to keep the pollen and dust out. Any suggestions? Yeah, if you look into computer fan filters or like a computer case, you can purchase replaceable filters for a computer case, which is meant perfectly for that. Basically, it's a fine mesh filter that you can put over the fans. So just look into that. Maybe there's even a place where you can buy that fabric, but it's just a fine mesh that's meant for airflow, but it still has very small gaps so that it'll block the dust and fiber. So hopefully that's helpful, KJ. Hope you like pics. Okay, sorry, I had to put something out there. I have a Blue Yeti AC 200P. Can I use a 48 volt, 100 amp hour lithium battery to charge it? That's a great question. I have a full video on that I will put in. Look at all these videos, guys. Oh my gosh. Let me do this one. Hope you like pics. This is the video for you. So that video right there will tell you exactly how to charge the any power station, but particularly the AC200P, AC200 Max from a 48 volt server rack battery. Works great. Or 48 volt battery. Larry Atkins, have you tested the EcoFlow 400 generator yet? Did you post a review on it? Are you talking about the 400 watt solar panel? I did do a solar panel. I did test the EcoFlow solar panel. I don't think they have a 400 watt generator unless you're talking about the solar panel. And yes, I already did that. I also tested their smart generator a long time ago. That was the dual fuel smart generator right here. So this video right here, if you want to see that dual fuel generator in action, I did a bunch of in-depth testing on that. Okay, David Payne, do you remember when Jackery was relevant? Yes, I do. I do remember that day. But, you know, they're not really interested in the larger systems, and they're not really interested in doing systems that are expandable, or the price per watt hour is not amazing. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, the Jackery systems are excellent, and I will show you one of the best. Let's go to my website. So jasonoid.com. Click on my power station grading system. I'll show you guys. Look at this right here. Jackery Explorer 2000 Plus. 9.5 out of 10 points available. The only thing that it got dissed on was the price per watt hour. So I will let you know that even though they aren't super fancy with the features, I mean, they have all the essentials: UPS mode, smart app connectivity. Some of them do have expansion. They perform well, they're quiet, they're very efficient, and they have excellent customer service. So we can't complain about that with Jackery, because they do have those checkboxes, and they do score very well in my power station grading system. So just keep an eye out for that. Now, if you guys haven't ever seen my power station grading system, you can see that right here. We got 2 people in here right now. But yeah, this is just a breakdown of any power station that I've tested. And yeah. Now, one thing that people don't realize all the time is the second tab. Check out the second tab, guys. This will break down so much more information. It talks about the solar inputs, the solar input max, USB ports. It talks about all the efficiency that I actually got on each one, the amount of watt hours I pulled, the inverter standby losses, the noise, the EMI noise testing that I've gotten, and then I've also been adding in the UPS cutover times, the voltage of the AC inverter output, the weight. Yeah, there's just so much information in here. So yeah, and I mentioned it has dual charging. So dual charging with the solar priority, or dual charging. So Larry Atkins, you did mention the 4000 Smart Gen. Okay, great. So Johnny's Weekends, you check out his channel. He's putting out a video about it. I believe it's going to be in the first week of March. So that's when I personally do not have one of those units, and I won't be testing it. At least I don't think so. But Johnny's Weekends, him and I have gone to CES in the past. So Johnny's Weekends, myself and Todd Parker, we kind of hang out at CES. We kind of cover some of the same stuff. Like, I'm more of an in-depth, battery solar guy. Johnny's Weekends is more of like an RV guy. And Todd Parker is just really into tools now, and his videos are super popular with that, but he does amazing power station reviews as well. So you can always look between our 3 channels and see how they compare and how they differ. So it's always good to get a second or third opinion, right? So let's jump into here. Well, let's go back to, let's see if there's any other questions here. Okay. Michael Mincy, good to see you. Thanks for joining the live stream. Sorry you're late. No, you can always go back and watch it if you wanted to, but I don't plan to go super late tonight. I might go for another hour. Usually I go for 1 or 2 hours in the live stream. Jing McPartland's saying, do you think it's safe to download the OPEZ app? The fact that it's not in the Google Play Store makes me think there could be a problem with it. Sending information it shouldn't. So what I usually recommend is that if you want to use the smart app connectivity on these apps, probably the safest bet is going to be using it for an Apple product. So maybe you can go out and purchase a super cheap iPad, and just like a used cheap iPad, and then use that just for the power stations that you have. Then it's not connected to your banks, it's not connected to your private information, it's not connected to photos or anything like that. So it's just a standalone device that you only use for power stations. And I definitely recommend using the iPhone side of things, because their store is a little bit more vetted. Now, I have an Android, so what I usually do is I use a separate phone for testing the apps, because yes, some apps that These companies send me, they're not in the Play Store, so they're like, oh my gosh, they just send me an APK and I download it. I'm like, what are they doing? They could be hacking my phone. Who knows? So just keep that in mind. That would probably be the best route to go. If I was going to tell anybody to do that, I'd say use a standalone device for downloading these apps that has nothing else on it, if you're kind of worried about safety with the apps in China and things like that. Because, yeah, all these are made in China, right? Oh, let's see. I think that's Chachin RC. For safety, how do we need special gloves to connect high voltage solar arrays to our power stations? You do not. If you are using a safe connector. So if you're using an MC4 connector, those are plenty safe for high voltage, and there's no way that you can touch the contacts. They're so embedded in the connector that there's no way that you can get shocked. So what you want to do is, if you are going to be connecting high voltage, you want to make sure that you have a disconnect. You want to connect that setup with the disconnect, with the solar array disconnected. And you only want to be disconnecting or connecting this if your array is shaded. So you can throw a sheet over it or something, or you could do it in the morning or night when the sun is not directly on the solar panel array. And then you can connect it or disconnect it when it is shaded. So you do not want to be connecting or disconnecting high voltage solar in the middle of the day. Now you can probably get away with disconnecting and reconnecting low voltage solar. So anything around 100, I'd probably say 80 volts and less, you could probably disconnect and reconnect that with most connectors like XT60, something like that. Just don't go sticking your tongue on the connector. Okay, let's see. Christopher Gabriel, real sub count on YouTube Studio. Yeah, let's see. Maybe it's updated. Let's take another look. We are super close to 70,000, so I want to keep an eye on it. Hey, we've got up 2 subs, 91. So 69,991 subs. It's possible. Maybe go tell your friends and family to sub to the channel, Okay. KJ, hi Jason, I have not as of yet. Do you trust the EcoFlow Smart app for the Delta Pro? I do trust the EcoFlow app. It's in both app stores and it is, vetted. So I don't think you're going to have a problem running apps from the 3 big brands, or maybe 4 big brands. So like Goal Zero, Jackery, EcoFlow, Blue Eddy, Anker. I think you're going to be pretty safe with those big companies. There's been a little bit of stuff in the past with Anker, and it was just them sharing data that they said they wouldn't share, and that was on Eufy products. So it wasn't with Anker, but it was with Eufy, and they're kind of their parent company of Eufy. So yeah, you just gotta. Anyway, if you have a separate device, I think you'll be safe. And Jim said, "Thanks, good answer. Didn't know, didn't think of that." Yep. There's a ton of cheap used stuff out, electronics, phones, tablets, or whatever. Just go out and buy one of those. We the People 69 Survival. I'm getting a Pecron 3600, the expansion battery of 3 kilowatt hours for $1,000. 400 watt MPPT for the battery expansions. Yep. And I don't know if you joined earlier in the live stream, We the People, but I did talk about the Pecron a little bit, and I could jump into more details of that, but it's awesome. It's great. And okay, so you are using MC4 connectors. That's good. Sandy Rose, you'll hit 70K by the July 4th. I'll probably hit 70 over the overnight. I get subs overnight too. So I'm 10 subs. I usually get about 60 to 80 subs a day. So I'll probably hit that by tomorrow. But it'd be really cool to hit it on the live stream, right? Okay, so PM clarified here. Eufy was caught red-handed sending unencrypted live feed stream to their servers while advertising they kept everything local. Okay, yeah. So, local. I wonder if their servers were in their building or not. Like, was their data center in their building? I mean, is that local? I don't know. I never looked into it too much. I knew there was kind of something up with it, and I never had their security cameras. I know it was kind of dealt with the security camera and stuff like that. So, Larry Atkins, yes, I saw that one, but there was a new one that works. Okay, yeah. So yes, there is Johnny's Weekends will have a review on the EcoFlow 4,000 watt 240 volt output generator. I think it's 240 volt. I can't remember. There you go. Okay, so life prepared. Recently you said the All Powers R2500 couldn't run a diesel heater. Why? So if you look at the, can I pull this up? I could pull up the All Powers. Let me get this. That's a great question, and I really want people to understand that. So let me get this going here. So here's the R2500. So, well, it was on their main page. So this is an incredible price for this power station, by the way. But it's a budget model, so you have to settle or miss out on some performance, or there's some quirks with it. That's what you always get. You get what you get for, if you spend a ton of money, you're going to get an amazing product. If you spend a little less money, you're going to get some quirks. And then if you go super budget, you're either going to miss out on support, warranty, or there's going to be some issues. So just be aware, you get what you pay for. I don't know why I couldn't say that earlier. Anyway, so this 12 volt socket here, can I zoom in on this? Yeah, not going to let me zoom in. So this 12 volt socket right here was limited to around, well, let's just look this up. So how many watts could we get out of, did I say that on this? Oh yeah, it's on the first page. So if you look right here, there is number of watts. So supports 150 watts DC output. Now if you look at the All Powers, right here, 129 watts. When the glow plug of a diesel heater turns on, it's going to pull around 150 to 145 watts. Since this power station is limited to 129 watts, it will overload the DC output and it will shut off. So if you try to run a diesel heater on any of these red items, and that's why I have this here. So 150 watts is what you need to run a diesel heater. And that's why I wanted to create this section in my power station grading system. So if you have a red line or a red icon here, that means it's not going to run a diesel heater. Most diesel heaters. Now I have heard in the future, some future models use a more efficient glow plug that runs longer at a lower power usage. So maybe that'll be a thing. So then diesel heaters would be more compatible with these power stations. But right now, most diesel heaters are going to pull 145 to 155 watts. So you're going to need 150 watts for at least a minute and a half to 2 minutes straight. So if the power station doesn't do that, it's going to overload and shut off. So hopefully that answered your question, Life Prepared. Okay, Mark Flat. Has the power station industry come up with a shock-resistant index that boondockers and off-grid people can use for durability? No way. They haven't. They'd have to use a certain standard, some UL listing, I'm guessing. IPX or something. I can't remember. I haven't seen anything like that, but I'd love to see some sort of rating for, yeah, you mentioned these for 12-volt fridges, power stations. Yeah, I agree. I've had really good luck with my my IceCo because they have the rubber isolators, and I'm sure the nicer, more expensive fridges have some sort of rubber isolator as well. But you definitely need to treat your 12-volt fridge with respect. You can't just go toss it in the back of a truck and let it bang around. It has electronics in it, and it has a compressor, and it's got to be, taken care of. Life Prepared. Perfect explanation, heart mark. Yeah, thanks. Yep. So that's why I have that grading system there. So just make sure that when you go to my power station grading system, you just check to see, oh man, look at all these red icons under 150 volts. You know it won't run it. Larry, your live stream is very good and would like to see more, please. Yeah, I used to do live streams more often, but I don't know. I kind of fell away from them. But if they're successful and people watch them and people like the content, I'll do it. Concurrent viewers right now, I'm at 76. So average view duration, most people are sticking around for 11 minutes. So, not sure, I don't know how long people stick around, but I guess the information has to be relevant. And I know a lot of people kind of tune into a bunch of different other things too. Like they maybe just watch my fridge content or they just watch my solar content. So I kind of have a broad umbrella of content to kind of please a lot of different people. Okay, KJ, can I get a copy of Jason's spreadsheet? Let me send you. Let me get my website here. Now, if so here on my website, I'll throw this down in here. Okay, so sorry, I gotta bring that up. There we go. Sorry. So I try to keep this updated, but I have this PDF available. So if you want to get a PDF version of the spreadsheet, download this PDF version. And then you can zoom out and zoom in, copy and paste, and do whatever you want with your own PDF. I get requests all the time saying, hey, I want to edit your spreadsheet. I'm like, no, you're not going to edit my spreadsheet. This is mine. I can't let some guy go in there and start changing all the information. So I made a way that you guys can do that, and it's through this downloadable PDF. So if you want to get that, just go to my website, click on my grading system, and then download this. So there we go. Mark Flat, my IceCo JP50 has been running for 2 years straight without a problem. I do turn it off for switching the AC and DC cables. Yeah, that's great. 2 years straight. I get truckers that tell me their IceCos are going on 3 or 4 years straight, 24/7 in their truck. So I know that they're a great power station. With inflation, the price has really gone up though. Back in the day, you used to be able to get an IceCo VL45 for $400. Now they're charging like $650 for it. So that's kind of why I've been like, if you want a real budget fridge, you can kind of jump into Set Power. Explorer Bear. If you guys have seen Explorer Bear, let me see if I can bring this up. Yeah, so the Explorer Bear fridge, this here, I'd say it's a little bit of a step up from Set Power on quality. They're like a metal fridge, and they have really good temperature control. They do have an off-brand Chinese compressor, but they're Hawaii, I can't, they're hard name to pronounce, but they have over 10 million compressors they've made along their companies, or maybe I think it was 100 million. I can't remember. There's a ton of the compressors this company has made. So they're going to be reliable. So if you're looking for an affordable but higher quality fridge, I would definitely check out Explorer Bear. And if you guys didn't know, if you go into my grading sheet, and then you go to the bottom and you look at, I have a 12-volt fridge comparison. So you got power station stuff, then you got 12-volt fridges. And these are all the fridges I've tested on the channel. And you can see anything you'd want to know about this. You're going to have to ignore the pricing because the pricing has gone up a ton. But, just add, inflation onto that and you're good. But right here you have the idle power usage, the max power, and eco mode, so you can see what it pulls, the compressor itself. And then this is the really useful information, is this the average power usage. So what power usage does the fridge pull at 70 degrees ambient, and what does it pull at 85 degrees ambient? So you guys can see fridge breakdowns and you can see power station breakdowns. It's just the fridges are kind of hidden. You just have to make sure that it's on that tab. See there at the bottom? 12-volt fridge tab. And then I even have solar panels in here. This was for a 400-watt solar panel comparison video that I did. So anyway, hope you guys knew that. Okay, so let's jump into some of these questions. Okay. Critical headlock. What is the best way to EMP protect your power station while in active use, not stored in a Faraday cage? It's kind of hard that way, right? Because the whole point of a Faraday cage is that there's no input or output. There's, if you guys saw City Prepping, he put out a really cool video about making a DIY EMP Faraday cage out of a metal trash can. So you can put the power station in there. The problem is he tested if there's just the slightest little gap, it will let that radiation in. So I am not aware of a way to do that other than the other way, I believe, is having a bunker, right? So I've heard that if you have 3 feet of dirt or like 1.5 feet of concrete, I can't remember the exact, equivalence there, but if you are under the ground and there's no way that the EMP could get to it, then that would be the other way. So you got to make sure that you have a bunker or something. The other thing you have to think about with an EMP is the EMP does damage to the grid because of the transmission wires. The EMP goes off and all that energy gets absorbed into the transmission wires, and then that damages anything that's connected to the grid. So the power transition stations where they convert the power, all that would be fried. They may have protections in place. I don't know. I don't know much about EMPs, and we haven't had really too much practical applications of EMPs in modern day with our modern grids, so who knows. But basically, it'd be cool if you could have some way that your house could automatically disconnect from the grid other than a main circuit breaker panel if it sensed an EMP, either some sort of surge or something like that. So pretty interesting. I don't know much about that, and I personally don't think many other people know about it because we don't have much practical, like, actual examples of what an EMP does. So who knows? Sandy Rose is back. Don't forget to hit the like button. PM says, if you want to edit the grading sheet, you can make a copy of downloading it to your own Google Drive. Yes, that's true. Okay, Scott Kindley. Is it possible to run the EcoFlow alternator charger from a tow vehicle to a travel trailer? If so, how would that work? You're going to need, it would definitely work. You would need really large diameter cable, large gauge wire, because you're talking 40 feet between, well, maybe like 30 feet, but from the front of your vehicle all the way to the tow trailer. A lot of people in Australia do this. They have their overlanding setup. They have a trailer, and they use these Honk and Anderson power pole connectors between their tow rig and the trailer, and they charge massive batteries in their trailer. So it'll definitely work. You just want to have some large cables between your starter battery in your truck and all the way to your battery or power station in your trailer. I would recommend something like, I don't know, 2-gauge wire, 4-gauge wire. 6-gauge, you're going to get some heavy voltage drop because it's pulling 60 amps. So probably 4-gauge wire, and that's going to be expensive. And I'd probably even go with 2-gauge wire. So I don't know. You can definitely do that. Critical headlock. Do you think an EMP shield installed in the EcoFlow smart home panel 2 would protect the DPU and DPU3? Yes, I don't know too much about it. I don't know what an EMP shield is. So if they have them, I don't see a problem to installing that and seeing if it works. I mean, anything that you can do to protect your equipment is great. John K. I have EcoFlow River 2 Max and River 2 Pro. Last year replaced the Max because of a power failure. Now replacing the Pro because of an overload error. Thinking of another brand for next, either Blue Eddy or Pecron. Thoughts? Yeah, but they should replace those under warranty. I had my River 2, I overloaded the DC output, and they replaced it, no questions asked. And that was through the Smart App EcoFlow support system. That's not because I work with EcoFlow on, as a content creator. That was me going through the support system to test it out. I think you're going to have failures with any product depending on how you use it. I don't know how you use your power stations. Yeah, I think Blue Eddy and Pecron make great products. Blue Eddy's going to be up to the same level of quality as EcoFlow. Same with Anker. Pecron is more of a budget brand, so you might have a few quirks. You're probably not going to get the exact level of quality, but you are going to get some really good value there. Okay, so John Tate. Where is this? Okay, we just got a ton of jumping here in the comment section. Sorry, it jumped. I got to find where it was. Looks like John Tate bought one of those fridges. That's great. I really like those Explore Bears. P. Vanderval, thank you so much for joining. Let's see. Jump through the comments. Okay, hi Jason. Will you be creating any new DIY builds? It's been a while since your last builds. Yeah. The downsides to DIY builds is they take so much of my time, and I have been I put myself into this predicament of putting a video out every week. And I work a full-time job, and YouTube is a nights and weekends type of thing. So it's hard enough to put out a video every week. So if I do these DIY projects, they usually do take a little bit more time. So I am working on a really cool DIY project with my neighbor's shed. My neighbor's building a shed very similar to mine. It's a 12 by 16 shed. I helped him install a 1,200 watt solar array on the roof. So we're going to be going through like a whole DIY shed setup, like an off-grid shed setup. So it's going to be really cool. It's a 12 volt system, solar charge controller, inverter, solar panels, all in one. We're going to cover that all in the video. So that's kind of a good DIY build that I'll be covering. But as for like another DIY build, if I was going to do another one, I'd probably do a 48 volt server rack battery setup with an all-in-one inverter or something. Thank you, Scott, very, very much for that super thanks. You're very welcome. Let me just see what is... Yeah, okay, that was regarding the alternator charging. Yeah, I do have one of those alternator chargers, by the way. I haven't gotten around to making a video out for it yet, but I'll find a unique way to test it out. I will, because it's such a cool product. And the one thing about EcoFlow is that they have this really cool ecosystem, and it kind of plays with the, their EcoFlow, but they have a cool ecosystem. They have their expansion batteries, they have the Wave 2, they have the alternator charger, and they all use these XT150 connections. So like you just plug it into that 150 and you can get tons of power input or output. So that's really one cool thing about EcoFlow. I'm not trying to be, I always try to be unbiased with brands. Like I don't have a favorite, but that's one really cool perk about EcoFlow is they have all these really cool extra devices that plug into these, high power ports. Anker doesn't do that. Blue Eddy doesn't really do that. Yeah, I don't know of any other brand that has kind of a full ecosystem of all these extra cool things. Like what we were talking about earlier with the smart charger, or the smart generator. Get down to it. Where are we here? Oh man, I passed it. Maybe. Oh yeah, the dual fuel smart generator. That cable right there that's on the screen, that uses the XT150 connection. So it plugs straight in the side of the power station and charges it at like 1,800 watts, like DC charging. It's so cool. So it's kind of that integration that really sets like that makes EcoFlow have some really cool options. I mean, sure, their track record for customer service is not going to be 99.9% positive because they are now probably the leading seller of products, and so you're going to have some bad experiences in there. It's just the honest truth. All right, let's jump through some of these questions. Marlo White says, I want to run a fan, light, and fridge and recharge it from a car or my family's gen. Okay, and I'm looking for a real good backup for when the power goes out for around $800. $800. I'd say the Pecron E1500 is really good for that price. The All Powers was pretty decent. Let's see, I'm trying to bring this up. Okay, get rid of my face. So the All Powers was really good for, with my discount code, is right around $800. It's kind of big and bulky. It's got a really good solar charge controller. But I would say that $800 is going to do pretty good there. If you're going for so my video that's coming out this next week, the ones behind me, this way, right here, these, oh my gosh, it's weird. Okay, so these 3 devices here, these are all around, what is there? $550 to $650 usually. And these have 1800 watt inverters, so they can still power fridges, fans, things like that. They all have around 1,000 watt hours, so they can do pretty decent on a fridge. Like they can run a fridge for a day at least, unless it's really, really hot outside. Like a full-size home refrigerator. If you add 500 watts of solar, you can do pretty decent on these. So maybe watch my video this Friday and let me know what you think about these 3 options, because those are all within that price range, and they're very high quality. Each one of these ones right here, they're all high quality power stations. Okay, let's see here. P. Vanderwall, I've had the AC200L for 4 weeks. Now running 24/7 some reason. During a 1,000 watt load, it'll suddenly stop charging from the grid. It's happened several times. Blue Eddy hasn't really helped. Maybe it could be your grid power is dropping on the voltage. Have you checked your grid power with a voltmeter to see what it's doing? There's a setting in the Smart app for the AC200L. It's called adaptive grid charging. I'd recommend trying that out, because what that does is it allows it to charge from a little bit wider range of voltage without shutting off. So it's kind of like it'll charge from dirty power a little bit. So try connect to it in your Smart app, in the Blue Eddy Smart app, and then go into advanced settings and you'll see adaptive grid charging, and just try that out and see if it helps. And I can't remember if UPS mode works with that. Maybe it won't. I can't remember. You'll have to test that out or not. But probably it might be an issue with grid charging and running. I don't know. If you want to get a little bit more in depth on that one, I could probably make some better recommendations through Ask Me. So maybe you can reach out through my Ask Me consulting service. I can't make any promises, but it's kind of hard to break down and talk about that all right now. Joseph says, completely off topic, but to all, please never neglect your health and regularly check in with your doctor. Blessings, and may all you have health and prosperity. Thank you, Joseph. That's a great reminder. So, yeah, it's totally true. Kevin Holland, looking forward to your neighbor's shed build. Yeah, it's going to be a fun project. He's almost done. I helped him kind of put up the rafters and put on the sheeting, the roof sheeting, and then he did all the shingles, and then I helped him with the solar panel. But he did everything else. I only helped put up the rafters because it's like the hardest part to do by yourself. Let's see. Okay, We the People 69 from Pecron has, yes, Pecron has great value as far as bang for your buck. I haven't seen any other companies offer a 3 kilowatt expansion for $1,000. Yeah. Their expansion battery is a beast too. Like I showed you guys earlier. Let me bring this up here, minimize this, bring up this. So I'm testing this right now, We the People. So let me get out of here. There we go. So E3600 and the expansion battery. This battery is, I'm impressed with it. It's got some really cool input and output options. Has its own charge controller. Yeah, very impressed with this so far. I have not done extreme in-depth testing. That's coming later. But my first impressions of this is really good. The E3600. Okay, sweet. Okay, so Marla White saying, what would you recommend in the EcoFlow line? Yeah, you're looking for $800. The Delta 2 would be good for that. The only downside, the Delta 2 is here behind me, and I'll be covering that in my video. The only downside to the Delta 2, well, there are a few downsides, and that's what I've already been testing these, so I kind of have an idea. But the fans, guys, the fans on the Delta 2, they're the old gen fans. And they're pretty loud. Like you don't want it in the same room as you loud. Now, I don't know, but I think EcoFlow is coming out with a new River and Delta series. I kind of got a hint from that because of the Delta Pro 3, right? 3, there's no 3s out yet. So the Delta Pro 3 might be the first released of the third generation. So that means we'll get a River 3 and a Delta 3. And I'll tell you guys, I was super, I gave them a ton of pressure to make some changes with those products. And I don't know, maybe we'll see if it makes a difference. But I really want high DC output from those devices. And I really want dual charging because they didn't have dual charging. They didn't have DC output, high DC output. And I told them, it was like, you guys need to raise that 60 volt cutoff for the solar input. The 60 volt cutoff, it's horrible. Okay. Yep. You're very welcome. She said, thanks for your help. Grid voltage bounces from 115 to 120 volts. We'll try the grid to grid adaptation switch. Yeah, see if that works. KJ is saying the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3. I never got the original, so I don't have the original. But I do have the Delta Pro 3, and I may have missed uploading that. So I'll get to that. Or it's not in my PDF. Because I have to update the PDF that's available from that link every single time that I make a change in the power station. So kind of, yeah, I get behind sometimes. So I'll make a note of that. Let me make a note of that. Update the spreadsheet. Thanks for catching that, Katie. Or KJ. John Tate, talk about loud. The AC 180 is horrible. In UPS mode, the fans run every 5 minutes. Have you updated to the latest firmware? I feel like they don't run quite as loud. I guess it depends on your load. I was testing mine this last week, this one here behind me, and the fans don't seem to run that often. But make sure that you are having your firmware upgraded. Okay, so Marla White following up here. I'm in Texas, and after having a week without power, I want something. So kind of going back to our original conversation, Marla, I would say if you need, depending on your load, maybe you should reach out to me through Ask Me. I can give you a little bit more in-depth guidance. But what I would say is make sure you have a gas generator that's an inverter generator, so a gas inverter generator. Those cost around $300 to $400. So get a 2,000 watt gas inverter generator. Then I'd recommend having a power station. Then you could have a power station that can charge really quick like the Delta 2 or the Anker C1000 or the AC180. All the ones behind me charge really quick. So you could almost use the power station, and then whenever it needs to charge, just start your generator and charge it back up. So, and it would just pass through charging. So it'll allow you to charge and use the power station at the same time. So you'd get around 10 to 15 hours of runtime, and then you'd have to run your generator for about an hour and a half. And then you get 10 to 15 hours of runtime, and then you'd have to run your generator for an hour and a half. So it's like a cycle. And then it just depends on what your load is. So if you have a 500 watt load, you're going to have to run your generator more often to charge it up. You could also do the same thing with solar, right? The solar acts as a way to charge it up. Okay, so Bryce M, I have the Delta 2, and the 60 volt cutoff does make it hard to get the whole 500 watt solar input. Yes, it does. You just want to make sure you're using the XT60i adapter, the orange one, because that will give you that extra boost on amperage, because it's limited to 8 amps unless you use the XT60i, and then I believe it goes up to 12.5 amps. Or 15, no, it actually goes up to 15 amps. So you can actually get, the way I do it is I just connect my 48 volt battery into the Delta 2. But you could use some boost converters too. There's so many different ways to get the full 500 watt input, but the only way to really get that is going to be running panels in a 2S2P configuration. So you're going to have to overpanel a little bit. It just told me that an ad was inserted, so we'll have to see what that does. P. Vanderwall says, we do have a lot of power outage here in Arkansas. Well, make sure that you want to be prepared for that. You do not want to lose. Let's say you have a deep freezer with a ton of meat in there. The worst thing ever is to lose $2,000 worth of frozen meat because the power went out for 8 hours. I mean, you could just have any way to back that up and keep it going. There's so many ways to do that, guys. Make sure you have some sort of way to keep your fridges running. Okay. Marla White says, I live in a garage apartment with my family, so I was able to get by with their small gen, but with 2 fridges, them running off, we are almost at its max. Yeah, you're gonna need, if you're maxing out a small generator, if it's a 1,000 watt generator, and that's what your load is, so what you really want to do is you want to make sure during a power outage that you are only running critical loads. And that's probably what people make the mistake on. The most common thing is they run too many things that aren't essential. So if you know your power outage is going to be out for a long time, what is the most important thing that you want to run? Your fridges, you're going to want to make sure that you have some sort of internet source so you can get updates on weather or, depending on what the outage is. But you do want to have communication to the outside world. So I'd say internet, some sort of computer or cell phone, way to charge that up. I'd also recommend having, maybe some lights, some fans, things like that, so you can keep cool. So probably what you want to make sure is that you aren't running very high-powered loads unless you have that battery power. So window AC unit, that is going to drain your battery super fast. Running anything with a resistive load, which is electric heaters, it's really going to drain your batteries really fast. So you got to make sure you want to avoid the big loads. So critical loads are just going to be your fridges, which fridges don't take that much power. You'll be pretty good with one of these units behind me running a fridge or even 2 fridges. It's just running extra things like, say someone has like a gaming system and a TV. It's like, is that critical? That's going to be pulling around 600 watts, a TV and a gaming system. Depending on what type of gaming system it is. I'm just trying to think of other things that may not be too critical. Yeah, I don't know. You gotta make decisions on, hey, this is the most important stuff. I want to make my battery last as long as possible. So just make sure that you're not killing your batteries. Life Repaired. I'm seriously going to listen to this again and again and take notes. Yeah, thank you. That's why I love these questions in the Q&A sessions. It's really fun to talk to you guys, and Kind of just this one-on-one. It's not really one-on-one, but it's like, me actually able to talk to you guys in an open format versus in a video, because in a video I don't really get the chance to, go back and forth and see your guys' comments and stuff. And just a reminder, if you guys haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do. Okay. I am Growler. Yeah. Are you still feeling good about the Ugreen Power Roam? So, sad news about that power station. So, the initial products that they launched were really, really good. They emailed me like a month later and they came out and said that their second batch, which they haven't sold yet, their second batch of the 2000 watt hour series had some sort of battery issue where they weren't getting the rated capacity from it. So unfortunately, they have canceled that power station and the expansion batteries. So I really, really liked that model. It was basically the only thing about that power station that was kind of a bummer was just the 60 volt cutoff. And I tested it. It's actually a 75 volt cutoff. So you can get a little bit higher voltage. But yeah, the Power Roam 2000s and the expansion batteries are not going to be around, unfortunately. I was super bummed to find that out. We the People Survival 69. My deep freezer runs on my system. It's a 7 cubic foot. It uses very little power and set at 2 and 9 degrees. Yeah, so those deep freezers are very insulated. So yeah, they probably don't pull too much. Alex, how slow is the solar ramp up on the Opez Mega series? I've heard several people say even on a mildly cloudy day, it can take a while before solar ramps up. Yep. If you watch my Delta or my Mega 2 video, I talked about that and I even showed it. So if we jump to that, let me just bring that up here. So close this, bring this up. So this video right here, this Budget King Mega 2. Let me share this in the, I'll share this in the chat. So if you check out that video, Alex, you'll see, at the bottom there's chapters. Go to the testing or go to the charging testing section of the video, and you'll see the short answer is yes. So it kind of, and it's kind of sad that some people haven't talked about that. Luckily I did talk about that in that video, but just be aware it does take a long time to ramp up, and then when a cloud comes, it resets back to 0 and then goes all the way up. So yeah, you gotta be aware of that slow charging on the Mega 2. Everything else is pretty decent on it. M Thomas 6. I have the Blue Yeti AC 200 Max. Which battery backup I pair with it, or what would you suggest for max load? 48 volt server rack battery is always my first recommendation for a DIY backup battery. We talked about that earlier in this video, actually, or in the live stream. If you go down here, I probably already passed it, right here, DIY expansion batteries, this video right here, that video will go through on how to connect an expansion battery, 12 volt, 24 volt, 36 volt, 48 volt, all to power stations and what type of power you're going to get. So watch that video right there. Okay. Mark Flat, critical stuff came home to me when I started using a CPAP. Yes. Yep. CPAPs is probably a very common thing for a lot of these people running power stations. So just be aware, for a CPAP to run on the humidity setting and to get a full 8 hours, you're going to need around 1,000 watt hours. So you're going to need a power station at least as big as the 3 behind me. So the EcoFlow Delta 2, the Anker C1000, or the Blue Yeti AC180. You're going to need 1,000 watts. Now, if you have it set to the just air setting, where it's just pumping air in, that'll pull around 35 to 45 watts. So that you can use a smaller power station for that. So it just depends on what setting you have on your CPAP. P. Vanderwall. Yep, I've lost our frozen food twice during outages while we were away during the day. Never again. EcoFlow Delta 2, extra battery for the freezer, and Blue Eddy AC 180 for the fridge. That's a great setup. KJ's thumbs up. Number 63, thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you guys for thumbing up the video. Okay, so We the People here is talking about a really important thing, and this is what you guys got to make sure you're doing. He says, I've been teaching my family a lot about power consumption and energy efficiency. Each one of my children now have a 256 watt-hour unit, and they're learning real-time how to use the free power. So make sure that you understand how energy works. Like what is watts, and how do you measure watts over time to get watt hours? So I have some really cool videos based on that. I posted them in the winter, this last winter, so it was kind of a sad result. But there's this one right here, Beginner's Guide for Estimating Runtimes. So this video right here, I talk about, basically I was talking about how, what do certain loads, or what do certain appliances use power-wise, and how long can they work on a certain size power station. So I actually went through 3 different size power stations, a small one, a medium one, and a large one, and I estimated run times, and then I did a bunch of tests in the video. So, and I broke down how to calculate watt hours and talked about the difference between watts and watt hours. So if you guys are interested in estimating run times, just check out this video here on my video now, or on my channel. Now, if you guys are ever interested in, learning more, all you have to do is come to the video tab here, come to the video tab on my channel, and just scroll through and just click on something that seems interesting to you. Now, obviously not all this stuff is going to be applicable, but, this video right here, what does mismatched solar panels do? Like, if you connect up different solar panels that have different voltage and amperage, what happens? That's what this video talks about. This one was run times. This one right here is a good overview of an emergency backup or emergency carp set, like a kind of like a bug out bag for your car. But yeah, let's go over here. Okay. PM says, I got my first power station specifically to be able to run my CPAP overnight. Tony Montana saying, how many watts does the 3600 Pecron from AC? Like, how many watts does it use as the AC inverter is enabled? I haven't tested that yet. And then, oh man, that question just moved. How many watts is the 3600? Oh wait, right here. How responsive is the Pecron 3600 with solar? It's excellent. No issues with the solar on the Pecron. Okay, so Bryce says he's saving up to get the EcoFlow dual fuel generator to hook directly up to the Delta 2 and a 100-pound propane tank. That is awesome. You get a ton of runtime out of that. M. Thomas 6, thank you. Love your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. So I was looking to get something to run in my apartment, so not to overload their small gen and to charge it from gen when needed. Yeah. DL asking what's going on with the Montec X2000. I'm not sure. Monte? Yeah, Monte is the owner of that company. He reached out to me to review that a long time ago. And so he reaches out and says, hey, I want to, have you test the power station and put out a video testing its performance. And so I tell him, well, this is when I'm available, so let's work something out. And then it goes radio silence. And I don't hear from him for 4 months. And then he reaches out again and says, hey, let's get this power station reviewed. I'm like, well, I always have 6 to 8 videos lined up, always. And so I'm like, well, I'm about 2 months out. So if you want to get this worked out, we got to do it right now. And so it's trying to just connect with them. But I don't have any plans to review that model right now. If you want to see a pretty decent video about it, high quality video about the Montec X2000, you can check out Todd Parker. He did a video on it, and he covered a ton of really great information about it. Kevin Holland says, I've used the CPAP camping, and I turn off the humidifier just before bed. I put in warm H2O. Oh, good idea. It's a good way to do that. Ganolis is asking, what is the best option for a DC to DC charger for power stations? It's a good question. So way back, not way back, but let's see. I'm going to go back at least to, oh man, there was a really in-depth video I did. It's right here. 5 times faster power station charging. In this video, I'll link this here in the, I'll link this in the chat. Okay, so if you check out that video, there are 3 different DC to DC chargers in that video. Now these are old school, right? These are not plug and play. You have to wire them manually. If you're looking for a really good budget option that works really good, you're going to see around 500 watts. It's this one here. This is the Pecron 500 watt charger. This one has built-in active cooling. It has 42 volts output, so it's going to work with the high power output on, or high power input on most power stations. And you're going to see anywhere from 400 to 500 watts, all based on the voltage of your battery. So I will share this video in the chat as well. So watch those 2 videos. If you have any more in-depth questions, reach out on my consulting service called Ask Me. It's right here. We talked about this earlier in the stream. If you guys are interested about any in-depth consulting about, you know, which solar panels do I need for this, or hey, I'm looking for a certain power station, what would you recommend? This right here is a perfect way to get a hold of me. It's a $15 flat rate consulting fee, and it usually goes back and forth 2 or 3 times. So it's a lot of great information for a pretty decent price. Okay. Let's just see here. I'm going through some of these. Yeah, going through some carnivore diet conversation in the chat here. JW, have you heard of anything about the Renogy 12 volt fridge? The Amazon page shows it has an LG compressor in it in a smaller size, 40 liter. I think it's $2.99 on Amazon. The LG compressor, like, I think LG just went through a humongous lawsuit with their full-size refrigerators. I can't remember. It might have been a different brand. I personally would probably go with a different brand compressor. I don't think they're horrible. I don't know. I don't have a ton of expertise on the back end there. So I would just say if you plan to use it all the time, every single day, you're probably going to want to go with a CCOP compressor. If you're going to be using it a couple of days out of the year, like maybe a couple weeks out of the year, if you're going to take it on a couple camping trips, 3 or 4 camping trips out of the year, you're probably good with an LG compressor or a Chinese compressor. That's probably my best advice. If you're going to be running it all day, every day, you're going to want to go with the CCOP Danfoss compressor. Brian M., this has been awesome. Thank you. Elaine G is asking, what do I think about the Opez Mega 3? I have a full review on that power station. It is on my channel. You'll see it down here. Oh, it wasn't that long ago. Right here. Mega 3. So if you want to see my thoughts on that, you can watch this review video. It is super in-depth. It is a massive, powerful power station. So you can see that there. Also, we talked about this earlier. I don't know if you may not have been here for my power station grading system, but you can see that I have this full power station grading system. We can check quickly what the Opez Mega 3 got down here. So it got a B, or 8.5 out of 10 points. So the pricing was a little bit, or sorry, the DC output got 82%. So if you're discharging it through the high DC output, you can't quite get full 85%. And what else? The fans were really, really loud. The fans are loud on those Opez models, so just be aware of that. And I had some issues with the solar panels being connected overnight. So they might have fixed that with a firmware update. That's what I told them to do, but I don't have a way to test that, so I can't verify if this is a problem or not. So, or not still, right? So those three things there got it down to an 8.5 out of 10 points, right? So check my power station grading system. It is on my website. If we get back to my website, there it is. So jasonoid.com, click on the power stations, and you can download the power station grading system or sheet here through PDF, or you can view it here on Google Drive. Tumbleweed, thank you for all this conversation. Quick praise for the EcoFlow Delta 2. Perfect for my minivan van life. Hey, that's awesome. The Delta 2 is super capable. For the longest time, that was my go-to grab power station because I didn't have these other two. So I used it for all the time around the yard. Like, I didn't want to run an extension cord, so I used it for running a grinder, shop vac, used it for, I don't know, like tons of power tools, jigsaw, circular saw. It'll run all those tools totally fine. It does a really good job. Brian M., really happy to learn of this channel. Someone referred Jason, don't remember who, but I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did, guys. Thank you so much for joining the live stream. I'll probably go a couple more minutes here, so if you guys have any other important questions, throw them in here. I'm not planning to do it too late. I want to help put the kids to bed tonight, so. It's almost their bedtime. I wonder if they're home yet. They were spending they were spending a long time in the pool today, so they should be getting back from that. John Tate says his IceCo Go 20 has been running for about 2 years, 24/7. Yeah, see, that's why a C-Cop compressor is so good. Okay, Mojo Rider. Hi, Jason. Any thoughts on where battery technology is headed and any move away from LFP? More sodium ion or solid state breakthrough coming soon? I haven't heard much. LFP offers a lot of benefits, and I think the only benefit to the solid state is the fact that it's a little bit more energy dense, so it's a little bit lighter, but not by much. So that's only really useful in small power stations that are going to be super portable. Now, the solid state batteries are very expensive, so I think the power station companies have kind of stuck to LFP because you get so many charge cycles. It's super safe. Like, there's no fire risk. And the sodium ion batteries, I don't know much about that battery technology yet, and I don't think there's any power stations that have that or are utilizing that battery yet. So maybe next year. I love going to CES every year. I always put out a good CES video talking about the newest tech in power stations, batteries, and solar that I find there. So probably just check in with CES. I do plan to go next January. Sandy Rose says, if you haven't already, consider becoming a member. Hit the join button listed on the screen behind the channel name. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, if you go to my channel, let me bring up this here. If you go to my channel, there's this join button here. And so if you join, I have to sign in, and this is a guest account. So if you join, it's basically a very small monthly fee. And what that does is just, if you like my channel and you think that this content is awesome, you just want to support it, that's a way. It's kind of like a YouTube Patreon, right? So I just have a really small monthly fee, and it's kind of like a subscription to support my channel. So if you do want to support my channel, you think this information is helpful, go ahead and click this join button right here. So thank you, Sandy, for going through that. Appreciate that. We the People 69. I have you on my TV too. I like that I can read the comments on the left. Yeah, I thought this was cool. I was trying to get the comments to show up, and I finally found a plugin that it works with. So yeah, it's cool to be able to bring. I can make it bigger, but I kind of wanted to be able to see me and the comments. Okay, so Mark's asking something. Okay, so for the ResMed AirSense 11 users, is there a DC power supply cable available? It should be a lot more efficient than running off the AC inverter. Yeah, I believe AirSense does make a DC to DC, a DC cable for those. It is an extra accessory. So, oh, you are saying there is one. Sorry, I read that wrong. So Mark is pointing out that if you do have a ResMed CPAP, you can actually run it off a battery, a 12 volt or a 24 volt battery, depending on the cable adapter that you purchase. And that will be much more efficient because remember, when you have an AC inverter running, it's always on and it's always converting the battery power to AC power, which uses background power. And that's when I test on my power stations, I see how fast the power station dies as it has the AC inverter on because it's always using background power. So anytime you're not using your power station inverter, turn it off. You don't want it killing your battery. It looks like Mark Flat joined the membership. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Looks like LFP is still king of the hill. Yes. And LFP is only getting cheaper. Well, I don't know what the tariff's coming in, but LFP is just, I think once electric cars pick up LFP, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm not sure what they'll do long term. But if they pick up LFP, we are going to see a massive amount of price drops in LFP chemistry. Brian M says, I'm getting the EcoFlow alternator charger for the Delta 2 Max. How would you charge an expansion battery with those first two items? Is there a camper van build? This is for a camper van build. How would you charge an expansion battery with those first two? So what you can do is you can set it up to take power from the power station, the Delta 2 Max, and dump it into a house battery. So you could just basically say, whenever you're getting a bunch of solar during the day, you can take that power when your power station is full and dump it into the expansion battery, the standalone house battery. And then at night, you can take that expansion battery and reverse the alternator charger and charge up the Delta 2 Max. So because the alternator charger from EcoFlow has that bidirectional charging, you can either charge the power station from the battery or charge it from, reverse it, right? So really cool product. I think that is a really cool solution for a van build. So you'll find a way to get that to work. Just make sure that you have a decent amount of solar so that your power station and your expansion batteries stay full. Oh, P. Vanderwall, thank you for joining the Jasonoid crew. Really appreciate that. Katie's Camp Kitchen says it looks like I hit the 70,000 mark. Let's see. Hey! 70,003. Congrats, guys. Woohoo! We made it. That's awesome. So, thank you guys so much for the support. I appreciate it. I love these live streams. I could go on for hours, but I'm not going to go too late tonight. So, okay, Stephen Odell, I see your comment here. Did I miss it earlier? Sometimes the super chat will make your questions stick out really good. Like, I'm sorry if I missed anybody's questions. I can't get to all of them, but Stephen Odell says, please answer my question about the Blue Eddy that only takes 8 amps when most 200 watt solar panels are giving 10 amps. Yeah, so you're talking about like the EB70s and the EB55s. Most of the really old, well, again, can't say old, but yeah, there's an amperage input limit, and you are going to hit that limit. Like that's just the downside of that charge controller. So they haven't quite upgraded their charge controllers to really take a ton of power. So usually you'll have a 28 volt limit at 8 amps, and that's just because they haven't put a ton of heat sinks in there to keep it from taking much power. So you'll just be limited to 8 amps. There's not much way around that. So in that situation, what you want to do is get the highest voltage solar panel that you can that'll fit within the voltage tolerance. So if you are interested in learning about like a little bit more about that or want specific guidance on which solar panel will work with that, reach out to me on Ask Me and I can give you much more in depth than I can here in just a quick question. Miss Catnipper says, can I run my CPAP directly from a solar generator? If so, where would I purchase the power cord? Depending on your CPAP, you'd want to find, you'd basically reach out to the company that makes it and see if they have a 12-volt cigarette charging or a 12-volt cigarette cable for your model. Now, a lot of these CPAPs run off 24 volts, so you sometimes have to have a converter from 12 to 24 volts. It just depends on what your CPAP, what brand it is, and there's so many different models. So just reach out to the company and they will either have a solution for you to run off a 12-volt cigarette port. And you could buy it from them. Or look on eBay or something. Get a cheaper price because usually they're going to charge you, they're going to upcharge you for that accessory. Okay. Let's see, EVs in China are mostly LFP and we haven't seen the price. Okay, yeah, so. Yep, that's true. Scott kindly says, I don't have a join button option, just subscribe. Maybe, well, yeah, that's weird. Maybe just the browser you're in, or are you already a member? I don't know. It's kind of weird. So Mark Flat says, I've learned how to make custom cables so that they can charge my AC200 Max from a 12-volt 200 amp hour Renogy LFP battery. That's awesome. Now, if you want to charge it faster, use a DC to DC converter that takes the 12 volts and boosts it up to 48 volts or 36 volts. Now I have a video on that. That whole video is, well, the easiest plug and play solution is this. Purchase this Pecron, connect it up to your 200 amp hour battery mark, and you will charge it at much faster rates. So let me just, I'll share this video. So this video, watch this video and I go through that. You'll think that's pretty cool with your 200 amp hour battery. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't think I'd hit 70,000 on the stream, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for the congratulations. Everyone's saying congratulations in the comments, so that's really cool. Also, John Tate is mentioning that Blue Eddy has 2 CPAP units that run all voltages and come with adapters for most CPAP manufacturers. I did see those. So let's take a quick look at those. Why not, right? So Blue Eddy. So if you come in here to stop popping up CPAP power. So I definitely recommend the higher power unit. This one here. The price is, not the best. $399 for this. This is almost, you can almost get an Anker C1000 Delta 2 AC180 for this price. Just be aware. Like the price per watt hour isn't amazing on these. It's because this is a very small niche. So 614 watt hours, up to 8 hours of runtime, right? And that's if you have, you're running humidifier mode, is my guess. Let's see if there's any pictures. There's your outputs on the side here. So you have 12 volts, 16 volts, and 24 volts. So you can see you have the Dream Station, the System 1, the System 150, the Transcend Mini, and then your res meds and air curves and air senses. So yeah, this is a pretty niche product. There are definitely other ways around it, but if you just wanted a plug and play setup, this will work. Thanks for pointing that out, John. Appreciate it. Mark says, of course I know that. Okay, well, I didn't know. I don't know. I don't think I've seen many comments on my videos with your name, so You need to comment more so I know which videos you're watching. But I appreciate your participation in this live stream. It's been awesome. Someone's asking about, she's on an Apple phone, or someone's on an Apple phone. iPad. Scott says he's on an iPad. I'm guessing that maybe the iPad the app doesn't support that. I don't know. If you did on a computer, you could see it. And let me look at all the accessories. I just saw his comment. Where are they? Right there. Okay, there's all your cables. And it'd help if I had that on the screen. There you go. So, bunch of different adapters. And of course, you have the power outputs on the sides. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Oh, PM makes a good example, or a good note here. You may have to have a payable account connected to the iPad. Because maybe if you don't have a credit card or whatever attached to your iTunes account, maybe that would, I don't know. Usually if you are logged into iTunes, it makes you have a credit card in there anyway. So I'm not sure. That probably won't be an issue there. Okay, Lord Ashura, Anker F3800 is going down to $2,500 in some stores. Would you say it's a better deal than the Delta Pro 3? Or is the Delta worth the higher price? I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream. We compared the Delta Pro 3 to the Anker 3800. Shortest answer is, you have to remember the F3800, whenever you're charging from the wall, it shuts off the 240 volt output. So you do not get pass-through charging on the F3800. The other quirk is that the solar charge controllers have a 60 volt cutoff. So it's really hard. You have to choose very, very specific solar panels to get the maximum power on that. So if you want, I have a full video on it, just from a couple weeks ago, or a couple months. This right here, answering your questions about the F3800. If you have any in-depth questions about this, this video will help you get through it. So if you watch this video, if you watch that F3800 video and you feel that you can get through those little quirks, then sure, go ahead and purchase it. That $2,500 is an amazing price for what you get. It has a very high quality inverter, but if you ever plan to charge it from AC power, just be aware it shuts off the AC inverter, the 240 volt output. So the only way you can get 6,000 watts out of that is through the 240 volt output. If you're charging from the wall, the AC 120 volt output is limited to 1,440 watts. So you can't get a ton of power when you're AC charging. So just keep that in mind. I feel that the DP3 is more capable with charging, pass-through charging, dual charging, and it is expensive. Hopefully in 6 months or so, we'll see the price drop on it a little bit. Now, what needs to happen is Anker just needs to come out with a new release of the F3800 that supports 240 volt output while charging and a high solar input. And I would just recommend that Anker F3800 all the time, because those are the two quirks that kind of make it, you got to think about it before you buy it. Okay, Miss Catnapper, I have a 1200 watt OPES to run my CPAP. All I need is a power cord and to know whether I need 12 or 24 volts. Yeah, so all CPAPs will run off the AC inverter, but to get longer run times, you want to make sure that you have a 12 volt cigarette plug. But sometimes your CPAPs will run off 24 volts. So yeah, you need to know if yours is a 12 volt or 24 volt model. If it's 24 volts, it's going to be a little bit harder to kind of work out how you want to run that. Okay, so Lord Ashura says, thanks, maybe I'll wait for the DP3 to go down in price. Seems like Anker's flaws are a real deal breaker, especially for the low voltage PV. Yeah, the low voltage PV is it's a frustrating thing, but luckily they have really high amperage. Yeah, I have in that video, this video right here, I go over all of that. And you can completely get it to work. There are ways to get it to work, so just be aware. If you're looking for an affordable unit that has a ton of potential, it's a good price. But I just want you guys to be aware there are some quirks. So don't go out and buy it unless you know there's a way that you can work around those. Okay. Mark's saying if I had a CPAP video, it'd be a winner. Yeah, I don't have any CPAPs. I probably need to, I would say I'd invest in some, but man, you gotta get your insurance to pay for those things. They are making a lot of profit on those little CPAPs. So maybe I just need to get myself, go to the doctor, say I have some sleep apnea, and then they give me a CPAP. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I think it has been an excellent stream so far. We've got some, I think we talked about a lot of stuff here. I would just recap. If you guys have any other in-depth questions, make sure that you give this Ask Me a look and see if if it's an in-depth question that you really want some guidance. It's just $15. And I will definitely make it worth your $15. I have never had someone come back and say, wow, that was super useful. I've never had someone come back and say, that was a total waste of money. So I try to always make it worth your money. So I will go out of my way to make sure that your answer is provided properly. Also, just checking back in with my website. Let me see here. So if you guys didn't know, I have a website. I'm doing a little bit of updating to it. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing my 12-volt fridge buyer's guide, it's a little outdated, but it's some good information. And also, I'm planning to put some more solar panel content on here. But also, you can see my grading sheet and then a link to the Ask Me here. As for any other, I'm just trying to think if there's any other cool content coming out. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I have some camping trips coming up, and I'll probably just not put out a video. I don't know. It's kind of hard because YouTube in order for YouTube to think I'm relevant, the current requirement is that I continually put out content, and it is a video per week. And so if I don't, I risk having my channel be not recommended as often as other channels. So it's really hard for me to not put out a video every week. That's what the YouTube experts say, right? So you have to put out a video every week if you want your channel to continue to grow and to have recommended videos. So what I'll say is for these camping trips, I might put out like a little short about what I ended up taking. I think you guys would be kind of curious about that. What did I end up taking camping? What was my setup? That type of thing. So I'll include that. That might be fun, but I have like 3 or 4 camping trips coming up, so you might not get some content through that time. So just be aware. I haven't decided, so we'll see. Laddie Miz, LATYMZ. What is the amp limit for the Ultra 240 output? It's 30 amps, 7,200 watts. So you get 30 amps output. It's a ton of power. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's any other things I want to answer here. Thanks for spending your Saturday evening. Well, thank you guys for spending it with me. I think it's so cool to have these live streams, and I appreciate everyone jumping in. And yeah, I'm seeing the comments here on the CPAPs. They are very expensive. I will tell you that the medical industry is making bank off those units. Okay, so Mark says more camping videos for sure. Yeah. So what we'll do here is, yeah, I'll put out some camping videos. I love to show that setup. I do have some camping vlogs that I've created for the past, but I'll definitely make sure that I put those out. So thank you guys so much for joining the live stream. It's been so fun. Just make sure that you guys are commenting on my future videos. I love to see the comments here. So if you guys commented it in this video and you watch my future videos, I want to talk to you guys also. So make sure you guys comment in the future videos. And I think I'm going to end it at that. You guys have an excellent evening.